Welcome back to my channel. I'm Sigourney Rosario, helping you to boss up in business, self-love, and in faith. Welcome back. So today we are talking about a very important topic. This is going to be discussing what to do when Big G redirects you. When you trying to go this way and Big G like this or this, and you like, baby, I need you to go this way. Let's talk about it. Let's hop into it, and let me tell you my journey. I'm from South Carolina, South Kakalaki, baby, 803. Yeah. Sorry. I went to college, did, schooling, and I moved back home after that. And I was gonna go to college for grad school because the only reason why, and it sounds horrible, but I don't care. I'm a real one, and I'm gonna tell you the truth. The only reason why I wanted to go to grad school is because I needed them college loans and repayment deferred. Okay? Uncle Sam was knocking on the door. He said, I see you've graduated. Congratulations. We need that first payment. I said, payment? Excuse me? Like, it was 6 months. 6 months after I graduated college, Uncle Sam was right there in the door. I said, I'm peeking through like, Uncle Sam, that's you already? Like, so I was like, okay, I started Googling. How can I get out these student loans? And we didn't have AI back then. And what popped up is, oh, if you continue on school, your student loans can get deferred. Now, I didn't know interest rates. I didn't know you still gonna have to pay all that back plus more. I'm like, baby, I just know I can't make this first payment. I was working 2 jobs, Publix and Outback. I would work Publix in the morning, Outback on the weekends. And I just was like, baby girl, I can't do it. So I was gonna attend a grad school in North Carolina, and I was gonna study psychology. My major in college was psychology, so it just made sense. I was gonna move down there. It was close to family, friends. I got, it was just great. So my grandma, she was talking to me one day, and she was like, sugar? And I said, yes. She was like, have you ever considered the military? I said, excuse me? I said, Grandma, you know I'm a girl's girl. You know I like to get my nails done. I like to look nice. Okay, I like to have my hair done. You trying to send me to war? And I told her, absolutely not. Why would you suggest? I honestly got an attitude. I was like, why would you suggest that to me? You trying to get rid of me? You trying to knock me out? And so she was like, no, she served in the military. She served in the army. And she was just like, I just think it'll be a good fit for you. Now, this is the power of grandparents, because they see stuff in you that you can't see, and they have so much wisdom in them that they don't, it's like that discernment, they can see it. That wisdom, they can see it. So her mentioning that, it planted a seed in me that she didn't even know. But because she could see the future, like, she saw it in me already, even if I couldn't see it in myself. So I would not be here today, who I am, doing what I'm doing, if it was not for my grandmother. She planted a seed in me that I will always give her credit for, because I was not thinking about no military. I'm just trying to figure out how to pay off these student loans, or how to get them deferred as soon as possible. So after that, I did a whole rabbit hole of research. I'm a research junkie. I will research anything and everything. If it pops in my head, I just want to research it. So I did research, and I looked into the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and the Air Force. I know what I'm gonna do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at that time, I was kind of the same personality. If I know what I'm gonna do, you really can't talk me out of it. So because my family wanted me to go talk to all the branches, I sat there and listened to the spiel. I already knew that I was gonna join the Air Force, and there's nothing that you or anybody else could tell me. When I started the Air Force, I'm in the Air Force. Again, my whole point of saying this is that I was not supposed to be in the military. I was supposed to be going to grad school, North Carolina, living my best life. But here I am, redirected by God into the military. So when I first joined the military, I said, oh, I need a commission, because I had my family kind of in my ear saying, you need a commission, you need a commission, you need a commission, you have a degree. I applied twice to this medical program. If you look back at all my other videos, y'all, I'm not going to go through the whole spiel. But I got denied. They only take 2 airmen every single year, and I was not selected as one of those airmen. So I gave up I do the whole thing of in the military. I go get my master's degree. So if I had stayed on the path of getting my master's degree beforehand, I would have had to pay for that out of pocket on top of my payment for my bachelor's degree. Because I joined the military, they paid for my master's degree without even using my GI Bill. I just used tuition assistance, and they were actually able to pay for my cost of my student loans. So I paid down all my student loans, became debt free, and I didn't have any debt for my master's degree because the military paid for it. So that's a prime example of God redirecting me. And again, I couldn't see it in the beginning, but now as I'm older, I see his favor over my life. And if I was in the mental health field, mental health, social work, all that stuff is mentally draining, y'all. And I'm not saying I wouldn't have been happy, but I would have been mentally drained dealing with everybody's issues day in and day out. So when I look back, yes, I sometimes think back to like what would happen if I never would have joined the military. I probably would have been a little bit more focused on business. But I think back to also, you know, you would have been in debt. You would have been having to deal with everybody's stuff day in and day out, and you would have been stressed out. But luckily right now, you know, you're living a good life. And you get to travel the world. You get to meet new people. I probably still would have been in North Carolina. Probably would have been tired of that. And that's just my whole testimony of how God has redirected me. And I want to encourage you in a couple of different steps as to if God is redirecting you or you feel like he will redirect you in the future, how to cope with it. Because it is very difficult when you feel like your life is going this way and God is redirecting you to a different way. Number one, you need to release what you thought would happen. Y'all, I thought that I would already be a 6-figure earner for Self-Love Stationery, y'all. In my mind, when I started Self-Love Stationery, and I've only been in business for 2 years, I don't know why I thought people were going to be running to get the stationery. I thought I was going to be having to fight off people, slow down, to get my stationery. And I'm not saying it's not successful. But we're not near 6 figures, okay? We're probably at, I would say we're at 11,000 so far. And we're nowhere near 6 figures, right? But I thought that I was just gonna be making this money. I thought I was just gonna be launching and just business was gonna be booming. And it's taking a lot slower, but it is moving. Every single year I see growth in my business, and we're on the projected route to make 6 figures, but it just hasn't happened yet. Also, I don't know if I ever told y'all this. I probably didn't. Nope, I sure didn't. I was gonna start a storefront. So in recruiting, there was a point in time to where we were putting in too many people, and so they told us, hey, take Fridays off. They started giving us half days, all these different things. So me as a hustler, you know what I'm saying, as a big bottle shot caller, I'm like, so if I got all this time off, I need a storefront for my business. So there was a place, if you're in Atlanta, then you know Ponce City Market. It's a huge plaza, but upstairs, they have a place where you can rent out different booths. And it's $2,000 a month, and I was gonna have my business there. I was gonna work Monday through Thursday, and then on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, I was gonna be in my booth. Planned it out, was gonna put my deposit down to everything. I mean, I had the money stored and everything. So come to find out, people never contacted me back, and I started feeling some type of way because I started emailing them, DMing them. I'm like, I had to send them a whole brand package, like what your brand stands for, brand colors, how you're gonna decorate the booth and everything. And I put so much time into that, and then people still didn't respond back. Little did I know, after the Air Force is putting so many people, and we started chilling, the Air Force is like, baby girl, we need you to work. Okay, so now I started back having to get into the office. So if I had locked into that storefront, I would be drowning. I would be horrible at it because we have to now get back to work. Those are 2 examples of how I had to submit it to God and be like, you know what, God, I have dreams of having a storefront. I have dreams of being a 6-figure earner. It's just not happening right now, and I don't know why, but I have to submit that unto you. God created you knowing everything. Do you understand that? Do I understand that? Because sometimes we think we are actually in control. Like, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Like, I had no control over if I got stationed at Virginia or Florida. But somehow I'm like, you know, feeling like, you know, God gave me a little bit more favor. You know what I'm saying? We have no control over that. We have no control over where we are working at. We have no control over our family. You are not in control. I had to realize this. We are not in control. And when we realize that, we understand that God is directing our path. In the Bible, it talks about the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. What that means is that your steps are ordered. Nothing is by accident. Nothing is by chance. The family that you have, that was God ordaining it. The job that you're working, God knows that. The place that you're at, the city that you're currently in, God put you there for a reason. And so when we have this plan, we have to make sure that we are not holding on to the plan so tight that we forget that we need to submit that unto God. So before, y'all, I'm going to be honest, I used to pray, Lord, let this happen. Lord, let that happen. Now I pray, God, I desire this, but not my will, but your will be done. Because if it's not your will, I don't want it. If it's not your timing, I don't want it. If it's not the job that you want from me, I don't want it. At this point, I want what you want for me, and that's just that. Because when I submit my will unto you, I get your favor. I get your peace. I get your glory. I get everything that comes with it. I don't want to be outside the will and be stressed, worried, fearful, and all the different things. Baby, I'm trying to live a soft life. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So, baby, listen. When you have dreams, you have aspirations, especially if you're a type A personality like me, you are a planner, you are a person that likes to be on top of stuff, you have to reel that in and realize, like, you know what, God, you may redirect me. It may take a little bit longer. It may not be the way I want it to be, God, but I give it unto you and I let you direct my path. Not me, but you. The second thing you need to realize is that delay is not denial. And we've heard this before, right? Again, I have to use myself as an example because that's all I know is myself. Again, I told you earlier, I wanted to be an officer coming in. I didn't know 10 years later I would eventually commission. But looking back, I was not ready to be an officer. I was not ready to be nobody's leader, y'all. I just was not in the mind space that I needed to be. And so when you feel like God is taking a little bit longer and you feel like he doesn't hear your cares, he doesn't hear your worries, he doesn't, do what you want him to do, you have to remember that he may be telling you not right now. Sometimes it's a yes, sometimes it's a no. But a lot of the times it's just like, you're not ready for what you think you're ready for. I wasn't ready for no storefront. If I had a storefront and working the hours that I'm working and trying to move and trying to get ready for OTS, I would have been stressed. You hear me? Stressed. And sometimes I even think about, like, are you really ready for 6 figures? Are you ready to receive 100 orders in a day? Are you ready to go viral on TikTok where you got tens of millions of people complaining about not receiving their order on time? Are you ready for that, Sigourney? Are you sure? Are you sure that you're ready to deal with the pressures of being a 6-figure earner? Because this is just not like all lollipops. When it goes up, the complaints go up, the chargebacks go up, everything else goes up with it. So don't just sit here and look at all the glory and all the good. No, balance that with the bad as well. And so you have to realize sometimes God is preparing you while you are waiting. I understand, like, waiting sucks. And sometimes I feel like sometimes Jesus be taking his waiting with me a little bit more serious than he do other people. You know what I'm saying? It's just like Big G, they blew up and they stayed 6 months in business. Okay. But then I also go back and look at those same people and it's they struggling. It's like they blew up immediately and they failed just as fast. So God is like, do you want that? I can get that to you. Or do you want me to take the time to build your character? Do you want the time that I'm putting into place to help you with your mental health? Do you want that time for you to, focus in on yourself and building your brand and, just taking a slow route? Or do you want me just to give it to you fast? So just like I'm talking to you guys, again, y'all, I struggle with waiting. I would say, a very impatient person. I want it now and I want it right now. Okay? I don't like waiting. But what I realized when it comes down to waiting is that there is a reasoning behind it. There is stuff that God is working on in my heart, in my spirit, that I may not even know, may not even understand. But once we submit the waiting process to him and we say, again, not my will, but your will be done, Listen, if it's a part of his will, you will see it. And when you receive it, you're able to receive it with a glad heart, and you're able to actually handle the blessing that he wants you to receive. The third thing is, when it comes down to when God redirects your path, you have to be open to how he's actually going to move in your life. So what I mean by that is, sometimes when we get into a waiting season, we can just be kind of chilling. We can just be kind of relaxing. But I think there is a part of where you have faith, but you also have works as well. And that's why in the Bible about how faith without works is dead. And yes, you're supposed to be waiting on God, but you have to also work in expectation that he's going to show up and show out in your life. So for example, I still had to submit the officer package. I still had to take the FOPT. I still had to do all the different interviews, make sure everything was good. I still had to put myself out there when it came down to creating content for my business to flourish. I still have to create reels and YouTube videos and everything like that. So I think there's a point to where you wait, but you still get to work while you're waiting. And I am a person who sometimes I gotta reel in the work, because I be overworking and working and working. I be outworking my own self. So sometimes I get a little too excited with the work, but I feel like there are other of us who are so chilled, who are so calm, and you're not working. So even though you are waiting on God, you still work towards that goal. Even if it's like you have dreams of, I don't know, buying a new vehicle or getting a new house or doing, you know, a vacation, you could still start saving little by little by little by little. And that's showing God that you can be trusted. And I feel like, y'all, I always want to be a woman that God can trust. It talks about in the Bible about how David was a man after God's own heart. I want to be a woman after God's own heart. Yeah, I want to be God's favorite. I'm sorry, I said it. I think I am already, but you know, we got a little bit of competition in the world. But I really want to be God's favorite. Like, I really want to be a daughter that he can trust and that he can, you know, share intimate love with. I don't know what it is, y'all. I want to be one of his favorite daughters. And there comes a time and a place, y'all, to where you think back to how your life could have been and what should have happened, what could have happened, what would have happened. And I think it's normal, and I think sometimes we have different triggers. And when you think back, you kind of always have to, you know, think of the good that could have happened and the bad that could have happened. But even in that moment when it happens, always remembering that God's plan is always better. He knows you. He knows that sometimes we're praying for stuff that we don't even really want. He knows that sometimes we're praying for stuff that we can't handle. He knows that we're praying for stuff that will crush us and that will hurt us. I remember one time, y'all, I prayed for a job. I will never pray for a job ever again in my life. I could have sworn up and down I wanted this job. Like, I was like, oh, I'm the person for the job. Got on that job. Baby, I said, God, can you take that prayer back? Return back to sender Big G. I ain't mean it. Like, and that taught me in that moment, like, I don't think I know what I want. You know, like, I don't think humans, we know what we want. But that's when we have to trust in God, believe in him, know that his plan is greater than ours, and submit that thing unto him. That man gonna show up and show out like he always does. Like he always does. You already need any type of stationery, make sure you check the link down below for my self-love stationery, journals, notebooks, pens, stickers, all the different things. And also, if you're in need of any type of coaching call for self-love, for business, for faith, all the different things, the link will be down below. And lastly, if you need a free letter of encouragement, please write into my foundation, Letters for Life, where you receive a free handwritten letter of encouragement back to you. As always, I love you, but most importantly though, God loves you. I will see y'all in my next video. Bye!